welcome everybody. I'm Rose Smith from AbsoluteSoulSecrets.com. Thanks for joining me. You know, I've had in my mind for a few months now, and I have done some previous videos about the possibility of a recession in 2023. It's getting stronger and stronger. So I thought I'd better do, instead of just doing shorts or, you know, a video that I did in the early December for the 2023 predictions, I better focus and narrow down on this topic because it's so important to everyone. I will draw two cards to see the general vibe, and this is for the US, but the reason I'm doing it for the US is because it affects the whole entire world. Whatever the US does has a knock-on effect, so it doesn't matter what country you're in, you're still going to be affected by US policy or whatever they're doing, you know, in some way. If you are new, subscribe and be live and hit that notification bell right now. I would really appreciate that. Let's go to the board. So we're going to look at the astrology. Now, I've used the US Sibley chart, which may or may not be entirely accurate. We really don't know that the time was 10:16 a.m. in the morning. So there is a little bit of possibility for inaccuracy, but bear in mind, anything I say, I'm also coming from a place of the visions I've had before and the previous predictions I've made about the recession before. Okay, I will do a video just on tarot in the future for selected countries about what's coming. Okay, so I've shuffled the cards. I'm going to pick two cards now as theme cards for the US recession in 2023. What do I see? I see somebody actually writing down. There's lots of data about this. Oh, right. Okay, I get it. They already know. Okay, they know. They haven't come out. They've already gone over the data. They can see the key indicators, many of which are probably not being reported in the media because the US government hasn't released everything that it knows about this subject. And when the recession hits, and the technical definition, there's a number of different technical definitions actually, but the most widely accepted one, I believe, is 2 negative quarters of GDP growth, okay? But there are other indicators which are already lining up for recession quite strongly. So let's see what card we get. Okay, strength. So just know that whatever happens, Spirit is protecting you, especially if you're in the US. There's some sort of energy of support there, okay? And maybe, I know this sounds really totally weird what I'm saying, but maybe the government is in some sort of position of strength at the moment. I know there's these multi-trillions of dollars that are owed. The debt sheet is terrible, and you know there's all these other things as COVID going on. Even if people don't believe there actually is, but there is some sort of strength here. All right, let's look at the second card now around this recession in 2023 in the US. Yeah, I see some chains. So it is oppressive. But the chains are being rankled and stretched, and it's like looking for a way out. So I don't feel, Americans are resourceful people. I don't feel that they're going to be stuck here for a long time, because they'll find a way to get these chains off. And I think they're already working on that. The card that comes out is the Fool card. Okay, so this is interesting. It's actually a pretty positive card. And it suggests that they're going to try some unusual tactics. Now, this fits in with what I saw in the predictions about the Australian government doing some very unusual things and out-of-the-box creative ideas. I don't know if Australia is getting that from the US or the US is getting it from Australia. I don't know who instigates it. but both countries are going to come out with very innovative ideas about how to manage the recession, and by doing that they will in fact shorten the recession and shorten the severity of the recession. This is all about stepping out, doing something different, even if other people are telling you not to, even if friends and family are saying, no, you've got to stay where you are and do nothing. It's not true. Move forward. You could step off this cliff, and that's what's going to happen. The nations of the world, many of whom will actually step off a cliff in 2023, sprout wings and fly, or end up in the drink. But either way, it's a new experience, and you're going to learn from the experience what works and what doesn't. Now, this is interesting. I don't know if you can see on your monitor, but there are 5 dragonflies in this card. Now, lately when I've been swimming, I've been dive bombed by a dragonfly multiple times, multiple days, and it's headed straight for my face and then it flies over my head while I'm swimming. This is like magic. It's the dragonfly. It has iridescent wings with all of the different colours in its wings, and they're saying there's many ways to fly. So even if you don't fly off, even if you end in the drink, if the US ends up down underneath the water, so to speak, there's sunken treasure there. And that can give you, the US, the ability to liberate yourself, okay? Remember I was saying about the chains. There's growth here. Now, it's not growth in GDP, but it's a different type of growth. It's certainly spiritual growth, and there's action. You know, it's a favourable card. Both these cards are favourable. So this is certainly going to weaken the worst of the effects of any possible recession. All right, I just want to make this a bit larger so you can see better and bear those cards in mind. First thing I want to talk about is, okay, so we don't know how accurate this is. Also, to start off, there's lots of retrograding planets here taking away the energy. A retrograding planet is not as strong as what it normally is. So we have the nodes in retrograde, which is not unusual. That happens a fair bit. And we also have Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and Neptune retrograde. And so this is from the 5th of July 2023, and it's a solar return chart. So it's what's likely to happen on a more physical level rather than how people are feeling about it. The physical changes that can probably be expected from the 5th of July for the next 12 months for the US. Now, I'm calling it the Great Slowdown, okay, because even with these ameliorating energies here that are helping the US, you're not going to get off scot-free, guys. I'm sorry. So we have this wonderful energy here called the Finger of God, and it's pointed at Mars here in the 12th house. This is a very creative, intuitive, spiritual sort of energy that's being focused in towards Mars here. Mars is the focal point. So we have Uranus in Pisces and we have Pluto in Capricorn, all blending their energies and sending their energies to Mars in Leo in the 12th house. Mars in Leo is not happy there. It's not something that likes to be hidden or tucked away. Mars in Leo wants to be the king of the jungle, to stand out, to be ambitious, to get stuff done, take a lot of action and be the king of the world. But in the 12th house, it's not doing that very well. It just doesn't have the energy that it normally would. And then it is conjunct Venus, and this is Black Moon Lilith here, which causes all sorts of strife. So we have a stellium here of energy, of powerful energy here in the 12th house. And this is really putting the brakes on, basically, on the economy, on the US economy. and there could be a lot of frustration and impatience with this, even despite this wonderful finger of God energy, sending all this energy towards Mars. Mars is going to break out of this, you know, so it could be that this is a short recession for the US. So if you know, we were to look at the solar return for 2024, we would see a totally different picture. So it might be just a 6 month to 12, I don't even think 12 month, but possibly 12 month recession, not a very deep one. Now, some other things to note here is there is, and I'll say about the finger of God, it's 2 quincunxes and a sextile if you're an astrologer, okay? And this produces a lot of tension between the sextile and the quincunxes, and these are problems to be solved, okay? Which the US can do that. But there is also a quincunx between the moon and also the sun here, which is conjunct Mercury in Cancer in the 11th house. This is to do with international relations, and it could be a bit of turbulence there in the things that US wants to do. The friends don't always agree. The messages coming through which are giving insight and awareness to all of the parties, but other countries may not be happy with what the US is doing, but they don't have a choice anyway, because you can influence policy perhaps, you can, you know, that's what trade and negotiation's all about, but you can't change what the US is going to do, basically. We're regarding the actual money side of things. We have Chiron here in the 8th house, which is all about investments and shared resources. This could be shared resources with other countries, or even American companies that are trying to invest. And there's a great wounding here. And Chiron is the house of the wounded healer. This is like the Americans' government telling people what to do, but they haven't got their house in order. They might have points, they might have really valid points in what they're saying, but there is a great wounding here. Often your attention is drawn to a wound so that you can release it. So you can work through the issues and release it and be done with that wound. And we might find, as a result of this, new laws coming to stop this sort of situation happening in the future. So there could be new government policies or laws made with a view to, you know, stopping this situation coming up later. Saturn is here in Pisces in the 7th house, opposite the ascendant. The ascendant is all about how you approach the world, your identity, your appearance, moving forward in the world, getting stuff done like it's active. And the ascendant is in Virgo. The chart ruler is Mercury. It's all about communications and knowledge and brilliant ideas, but it's being challenged very significantly by Saturn here. America can't get its message out there. Maybe it puts it out there, but people don't want to hear it, or other countries don't want to hear it, or they don't agree. Okay, so that's sort of in alignment with this quincunx, this tension between friends and groups and other countries and the US, the moon at home, okay? It's in the 6th house. It could be about work, some work policies perhaps, and it could also be about women. Perhaps America, the current American government decides that it wants to put more affirmative action into place regarding women, and there could be either at home or abroad this tension. And of course with the GOP now controlling the House, it's hard to convince them of anything, even if it is good for the country. So there is a definite, it's more than a challenge, it's very strong opposition, okay? And Saturn is also opposite Mars here, and that is a real ding-dong battle of when Mars and Saturn disagree. You've got that raw energy of Mars, which is reduced because it's here in the 12th house, But Mars is still not a pushover. Mars is ambitious and active, and Saturn wants the status quo, especially with partners, okay? Doesn't want to change relationships. This is all probably to do with, the breakdown of globalisation and who will be the American partners. Australia's always been an American partner, or for a long time anyway. And America has several bases here in Australia on Australian soil, and very important telecommunications and all sorts of secret stuff, actually, I better not talk about, going on here in Australia. The other thing to note here is the moon in Aquarius is square Jupiter in the 9th house, which is often to do with other countries, foreign affairs, if you like. It's to do with also education, spirituality, and this hard aspect here suggests that, again, this is the third lot of stuff that's like America's going to have problems with neighbours or perhaps their partners, okay? They just don't agree. Women could be involved here because it's the moon. So whether their policies about women, or maybe it's the women, maybe it's the people who are handling it are women. You see here the South Node here in the 3rd house of communications. That's about keeping the status quo with communications and with knowledge. We don't want to try anything different. But the North Node, the future, the destiny, is saying try new things and make sure they have a real physical consequence. So, when you look at all of these things sort of going on, these oppositions, these squares, like this one here is Venus squaring Jupiter. It's like Venus in the 12th house sometimes is somebody who is like a lover who's not available, or an affair, or something kept hidden, the truth's not coming out. And on the opposite end here, Jupiter wants to expand and make things out in the open and just keep on growing and growing. And again, that's the 4th thing that suggests that there are problems between the US and its allies. So when you look at all of this together, it really does suggest that there is a recession coming. America is actually in a stronger place than most countries, despite the internal division and the ridiculous amount of debt that that country is carrying. I think there'll be a recession, but not a very long one and not a very deep one. So having done this now, it's sort of more or less confirming the previous predictions that I've made in the past. And so my advice would be to make yourself as secure as possible. It's not really the best time to go out and maybe start a new business. It's not the best time to invest. And I was looking at something recently and I just thought it's not a good time. It was in the US, and I've only just made up my mind not to do it, but this sort of confirms it's not the best time to invest. Put your money somewhere safe, like in a bank that's not going to go broke. Maybe stock up too, because some things you can't get, so there's a brand of shampoo my husband likes. He can't get it anymore, hasn't been able to get it for months. I've had to order it from iHerb in America to get it. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be more and more, shops that can't carry the brands that you want. Try telling your cat that you can't get the crystals for the litter tray that the cat likes, and you have to get clay instead. The cat just doesn't get it. Alrighty, I hope this is useful for you. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that. And stay tuned for more. I've got more things coming. There's so much happening at the moment. It's always a busy life, isn't it? Better to be busy than not, though. Okay, have a fabulous day, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Thanks so much for watching. please visit my website absolutesoulsecrets.com for all things spiritual. Have a lovely day.